On the day that silence took over the galaxy, only the sound of his heart remained. Kale Draven floated alone among the ashes of the stars. The cabin of the Eidolon, the last human ship still functioning, vibrated in long cycles as if breathing along with it. Outside, space was a desert of dead light. No planet, no sign, no echo. Until that night, a frequency began to pulse, low, old, human. Kale opened his eyes and his voice broke through the silence. The sound came fragmented, as if it had crossed millennia. The panel readings exploded in unknown codes. Source signal, Sector 0, Delta, the heart of a galaxy erased 1,000 years ago. The same galaxy where his daughter had died. It can't be real, but the voice repeated. Clearer now. Father, find me. In Eco. Kale's blood ran cold. The Eco was a myth, a legend told by dying scientists and crazed navigators, a cosmic structure capable of recording consciousness, trapping it between time and death. But he would recognize that voice anywhere. Your daughter, Lisa. The viewfinder in front of him showed the map of the galaxy, a dot shone in the void, beating like a heart. Kale looked at the reflection of his own face in the glass. Gray beard, sunken eyes, a man who had lost everything, and yet he was still breathing. If it's a lie, I destroy you. If that's you, I'll bring you back. The Eidolon spun on its axis and accelerated, tearing the fabric of space. The warp drive roared, and the universe distorted all around. The jump threw him straight into a debris field, remnants of a forgotten civilization, scattered like the dust of dead gods. There, among the ruins, something pulsated, a colossal, translucent sphere orbiting what was left of a broken star. Her light was different. It didn't radiate. He heard. Kale adjusted the frequencies. The sphere responded. 1,000 voices mixed, a choir of memories. In the middle of them, Lisa's voice. Dad, Eco remembers me. Kale took a deep breath. That technology was not human, or perhaps it was before humanity. Fractal runes swirled around the structure, and the energy emanated neurological patterns. It was a mind, made of light. His daughter's voice echoed again, but this time with a calmness that broke his heart. You can't save me, Dad, but it can set us free. The words pierced Kale's chest like a blade. He turned off safety protocols and maneuvered the craft toward the structure. The hull began to fragment under the energetic pressure. The systems warned, quantum annihilation field detected. He didn't care. If this is hell, then that's where I stay. The Eidolon has passed through the first layer of the sphere, and at that moment, time stopped. The cabin clock froze, the stars were reversed, and Kale saw, just for a second, the silhouette of a child running over a field of light. She looked at him, smiled, and whispered, "You've come." The ship's lights failed. Kale squeezed the stick tightly, tears streaming down his dirty face. "I'll get you out of there, Lisa. I swear on everything that's left." The surrounding structure began to react, rings of energy expanding like waves in a lake. The whole universe seemed to wake up. The Eco. I was listening. The inside of the sphere was impossible. Kale expected fire, noise, and destruction, but there was only light. A light that pulsated in silence, as if the universe itself breathed. The Eidolon panel flashed intermittently, systems failing, sensors delirious. No physical data made sense. The coordinates changed even without movement. Time did not run in a straight line. And in the midst of this chaos, her voice. White. Viva. Father. You came. Kyle held his breath. He looked at the glass of the cockpit and saw something impossible. Lisa's silhouette reflected, but not inside the ship. She was behind the reflection, as if the glass were a membrane between two worlds. Lisa? Where are you? Here, in the Eco, under the light. The reading showed a dense region at the center of the structure, a quantum mass vibrating at brain frequencies. It was a field of living data, human memories encoded in pure energy. Kale activated the neural scanning module. Eidolon responded with a snap. Analysis. 430, 23,000, 91,030 conscious patterns detected. He almost dropped the communicator. Billions. Eco-contained minds, perhaps of an entire civilization. Lysa's voice came back, now closer, almost as if whispering inside him. Dad, Echo doesn't forget. He keeps everything. But why? What is that? It is the place where the gods hid their errors. Kale stood up, panting. The cabin temperature plummeted. The space around it curved, distorting reality. The walls of the ship stretched, the glass shook, and suddenly, the cabin was filled with echoes. Hundreds of voices began to speak at the same time. I was alive. Don't turn on the light. They put us out. Father, Kyle screamed. His mind tried to resist, but every voice sounded like hers, as if Echo was trying to rebuild Lysa from stolen fragments. Suddenly, the panel lit up on its own. The image of a face formed by golden particles appeared in the center of the hologram. Lisa, but not as he remembered. Her eyes were miniature galaxies, and her smile seemed made of pure energy. You shouldn't have come, Dad. Why are you saying that? Because Eco needs a new heart. The ground vibrated. The craft began to be pulled into the core. A gravitational field was forming, but there was no mass. It was the attraction of memory. The Eco did not absorb bodies. He absorbed will. Kale tried to cut the engines, but the controls were no longer responding. The lights flashed in sequence, and each blink brought back a different memory. Her laugh in the backyard, her face covered in blue paint, and the explosion on the planet Arlenus IV. Everything was mixed, present, past, loss. Lysa, hear me. I came to get you out of here. Dad, if you take me away, the universe dies. Her words echoed within his mind like a divine sentence. He staggered to the panel and punched the screen. The hull of the Eidolon opened with a dry crack. Rays of golden light invaded the cabin, and Kyle was thrown against the ground. The ship screamed like a dying animal, but in the midst of the pain, he saw something. A corridor of energy forming ahead, leading to the heart of the Echo. There, in the center, a black sphere, pulsating like an inverted heart. Lisa's voice returned, sweet and sad. If you come in, you don't come back. But maybe, remind us. Kale stared at the light. His face covered in blood, his eyes burning with tears. And he said quietly, almost smiling, "Then remind me, daughter." He activated the main engine and dived into the hallway. Behind him, the Eidolon crumbled into stardust. The Eco. He opened his eyes. The impact should have killed him, but death there seemed not to exist. Kyle opened his eyes and saw the impossible. A sky within a star, filled with metal structures that floated like ruins suspended in time. And among them, a colossal cathedral made of solid light. Inside, moon-sized gears turned soundlessly. It was as if the cosmos itself was trapped inside a machine. The surface where he was standing was translucent. Below, streams of golden energy flowed down like inverted rivers, and each spark contained human faces. Fragments of consciousness floating and repeating in an eternal loop. Kale staggered to one of the luminous columns. The surfaces reacted to the touch. They showed images, records, and memories. Ancient wars, galaxy explosions. Men and women dressed in translucent armor, commanding forces that shaped space itself. And at the center of it all, a symbol. Two intertwined spirals, one of flesh, the other of light. The signature of ancient humanity. Kyle felt his stomach turn. My God, it was us. Lysa's voice echoed faintly, as if coming from all sides. You found the heart of Echo, Father. What's that? The weapon of the dead gods. The walls began to pulsate, and a human figure formed before him. Lisa, but bigger, composed of energy, glowing eyes, and an emotionless expression. Long ago, mankind mastered death, she said, in a serene voice. But he did not master the morning. So we created Eco, a mirror of the universe, made to hold everything we love. Kale took a step forward. This is not life, it's prison. The figure flickered, changing shape. Now it was himself, Kale, reflected perfectly. Every memory is a prison, Dad. Humanity wanted to be eternal, but the price was forgetfulness itself. Behind her, the central throne lit up, an immense spiral of light swirling around a black sphere. Slowly, the structure began to open. From within, a mechanism emerged. Concentric circles, gravitational runes, and in the center, a small pulsating crystal. It was a weapon, but also a soul. That's the origin, Lysa said. A device capable of restarting realities. It erases galaxies, so that new ones may be born. Kale took a step back. You created something to play God. No, Dad. We created to escape him. The structure responded to his presence. Sensors scanned him, and lines of golden light began to envelop him. The crystal pulsed faster. The system recognized him. Compatible genetic identity. Biological heir detected. Activation possible. Kyle looked on in horror. Eco reacted to his lineage. The daughter's mind, encoded within the system, was the key, and it, the biological body, was the trigger. Lysa, do you want me to turn that on? You've already called Dad, the moment he came in here. The lights of the cathedral turned red. The space around her began to twitch. The dead stars beyond the sphere rekindled and extinguished like breaths. The universe resembled the end itself. Kale approached the crystal, the golden light flashing through his face. What happens if I complete the cycle? Everything will be forgotten, and the new universe will be born pure. What about you? Lysa smiled sadly. I'm the mistake, Dad, and Eco erases the error. The sound of cosmic gears began to grow. The ground shook. Kale held out his hand. The heat was unbearable, but for the first time in all eternity, he understood. The echo was not a weapon made by gods. It was the tomb of humanity, and he was the guardian who remained to decide if the end would be worth it. The crystal shone, and Lysa's voice whispered, Choose, Dad. The universe waits. The silence within the heart of Echo was almost sacred. The light pulsed rhythmically, like a heart about to explode. Kale stood motionless before the crystal, his face bathed in the golden radiance that flickered between life and madness. The holographic panel next to it displayed something impossible, lines of code becoming memories, images of the earth, of Lysa, of a home that no longer existed. Memories were being rewritten in real time, using his mind as a mold. Eco was rebuilding his daughter from her father's love. Lysa emerged again, not as a hologram, but as a living presence. The air around her trembled, each movement emanating luminous particles. Her eyes sparkled, not with innocence, but with knowledge. Dad, you can bring us back. Kale did not answer. His fingers trembled. In front of the throne, the weapon, Echo's heart, pulsated as if calling him by name. Partial activation detected. Accumulated energy, 37%. Singularity level, increasing. Kale took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the choice on his chest. Lysa stepped forward, the lights dancing around her body. I saw it all, Dad. Every world that burned, every star that cried. Humanity has been extinguished because it wanted to forget. But you, it still remembers. He looked at her, and the pain in his eyes was unbearable. That's what kills me. Lysa reached out. Her fingers were almost human, but they twinkled, transparent. Use the eco. Redo everything. It remakes me. Kale closed his eyes. That voice, it was hers. But it wasn't either. Behind the sweet tone, there was a command. Something old and impersonal. As if Eco used his daughter's image to achieve what he wanted. Lysa, he whispered, are you sure it's you? For a moment, her face faltered. The voice fragmented. I am all the ones you have lost. That phrase echoed like a sentence. Kale staggered back. The echo wasn't just the daughter's mind. It was the sum of all the human consciousnesses imprisoned before the collapse. That system wanted to be awakened, and I needed him for that. The throne of energy answered the hesitation. The entire structure vibrated, and holograms of other human figures began to appear. Men, women, and children, all asking for the same. Active. Rear. It makes everything start again. Kale fell to his knees, hands on his face. He cried, but the crying did not come out. The throat dries up, the heart burns. It was the same dilemma that had destroyed civilizations. The power to remake the past. Lisa knelt before him. I want to see heaven again, Dad. If I do that, nothing will be left. Not even you if you don't. The core of the echo began to open like a cosmic flower. Inside it, Kyle saw the earth before the fall, the smile of Lisa as a child, and the sound of the wind that had not existed for millennia. It was everything he loved most, and everything that would destroy him. Full activation available, announced the system voice. Warning, irreversible universal collapse. Kyle looked at his daughter. She smiled, and for a second she looked human again. His hands touched the crystal. The heat burned even the soul, and in that instant, Kale Draven chose the impossible. Eco has awakened. The galaxies began to fade, and the universe for the first time in its history cried. The universe screamed, but the sound was not audible. It was felt. Waves of energy traveled through the void like the pulsations of a dying heart. Stars were silently collapsing, devoured by the expansion of the echo. And Kale Draven was at the center of it all. On her knees, her hands still on the crystal that now pulsed in human heart rhythm. Lisa had disappeared. In the place where he had been, only fragments of light swirled in a spiral, like petals of fire. The throne emanated heat and cold at the same time. It was the living antithesis, God and the tomb. Activation in progress, announced the system voice, cold and emotionless. Resistance detected. It was then that Kale saw them. From the horizon of the cosmic cathedral, that abyss of metal and energy, forms emerged. First, silhouettes, then complete figures, tall, slender, composed of gray light and translucent fragments of matter. The architects of the void. They didn't walk. Each step distorted the space around him, and their voices echoed right inside his mind, with no sound, no timbre, only intention. You opened the echo. Kale scrambled to his feet, his body burning under the gravitational pressure. The entities moved in unison. The light they emanated was different from that of the echo, cold, bluish, and mathematical. We are what came before the memory, those who shaped the law of silence. Kyle frowned. Are you gods? We are the guardians of oblivion. The universe must die to remain perfect. The ground around it cracked like glass. Streams of blue energy emerged from the cracks, creating geometric patterns, codes of destruction. Eco reacted as if recognizing its former creators. Kale looked at the throne, then at them. Did you delete everything? Humanity has forgotten its place. So we gave her a mirror. The echo was his penance. The words hit Kale like a blade. That monument was not a weapon of hope. It was a prison, built by the gods themselves to contain human sin. Memory, the leader of the architects, a taller form, with eyes like black holes, held out his hand. Disable echo, Kale Draven. Or the universe will be erased until the last echo of voice. Kyle smiled bitterly. Too late. The throne vibrated, and columns of golden light pierced the ceiling of the cathedral. The energy rose through his body, turning the flesh into luminescent matter. The architects reacted. Spears of blue energy were thrown, cutting through the space. Kyle raised his hand, and the attack stopped in midair. His body shone. Parts of Lisa's mind echoed inside him, memories, love, and pain. He was no longer just a man. It was the link between creation and destruction. You have become what we tried to erase, said the voices in unison. You are the noise. Kyle advanced. The golden energy enveloped the enemies, shattering their translucent bodies into fragments of cosmic glass. But before they disappeared, they still said, when the light dies, the silence will swallow you up. The last of them fell apart. The echo pulsed once more, like a heart about to break. Kale fell to his knees, exhausted. The universe trembled, cracking like ancient porcelain, and within the glowing glow, he heard the voice that brought him there. Lisa, weak, distant, crying. Dad, please, you're going to erase everything. He looked at his hands, half human, half light. The power was absolute, but so was the doubt. The entire cosmos awaited. And Kale realized that, perhaps, God was watching. On the other side of oblivion, the echo trembled. The cathedral's floor of light was torn, and the inner sky exploded into golden fragments. The last words of the architects still echoed within Kale Draven's mind. Cold, impassive, inevitable. When the light dies, the silence will swallow you up. But Kale didn't listen. Or rather, he chose not to listen. He walked toward the throne, his body oscillating between flesh and radiation. Each step left footprints of light that floated before dissolving into the air. Echo reacted like a living creature, opening corridors of energy as it approached. In the center, the heart of Echo, the black sphere suspended over the altar, pulsated in a rhythm identical to that of his heart. It was as if the two were in sync, man and machine, pain and divinity. Kyle looked at the reflection in the crystal. His face was fragmenting, bits of memory leaking through his eyes, through his hands, and through his voice. And at the bottom of the glow, a silhouette. Lisa, the daughter he had lost, the daughter that Eco now used. Father, she said serenely, you are sick of remembrance, and you are my cure. The throne responded, releasing columns of golden light that rose to the ceiling and spread across the cosmos. The sound did not come as an explosion, but as music. Millions of frequencies vibrating in harmony, as if the universe were praying for death itself. The holographic panel shone. Final activation, irreversible collapse sequence. Energy released, 100%. Kyle tightened the controller, and the universe began to die. The first wave came out of the heart of the echo like a tsunami of pure light. Entire galaxies folded in on themselves. Constellations have faded, leaving trails of incandescent dust. Planets disappeared without sound, as if they had never existed. Kale observed everything through the eyes of the machine itself. He felt each star unraveling, each soul dissolving into the fabric of nothingness. It was a clean, silent, beautiful death, and terrible. As the glow advanced, Lisa's voice returned, now stronger, almost human. Why are you crying? He looked at the light around. The tears evaporated before falling. Because I have conquered. She stared at him, her face sad and serene. No, Dad. Because you killed me again. The pain came like thunder. Kale staggered. The memories began to overlap. Her laughter, her childhood, the day she lost her, the sound of the explosion, and the smell of smoke. Everything was mixed with what he saw now. Billions of worlds burning at the same time. You destroyed hope, Dad. No, he muttered. I gave her a fresh start. But Eco did not agree. The system began to overload. The throne cracked, and the heart vibrated in collapse. And inside the light, Kale realized the mistake. The coordinates of the initial pulse were the same as in the galaxy where Lisa had died. The first point erased by Eco was her home. He screamed, but there was no longer a voice, only light. His body began to dissolve, each cell converted into a photon, and in the final instant, he saw, in the center of destruction, among the ruins of time, Lisa smiling. It was no longer made of flesh or memory. It was pure awareness, absolute peace. It's okay, Dad. Now you understand. The universe exploded in silence, And out of the collapse was born something that no god had predicted. A second beat. Death gave birth to life. The end was brief. What came next? It was eternal. Kale floated in a sea of nothingness, a space where even the concept of silence had died. No stars, no colors, no sounds. Just a living darkness, as if the universe were thinking before it was born again. He tried to breathe, but there was no air. He tried to speak, but there was no voice. Still, a presence responded to his every thought, molding the darkness like clay. Father. The voice did not come from outside. It was born within him, but no longer as a memory. She was now the very light hidden under the veil of nothingness. "Where are we?" asked Kale, or just thought. Then he saw little sparks all around, dancing like golden dust. Each of them was a memory converted into matter. Love, pain, faith, repentance. Every human emotion was transformed into a particle of creation. His body began to react. The skin dissolved into fractals of energy, revealing luminous structures underneath, as if its flesh were a living constellation. He felt his heart beating, but the sound was cosmic. Each beat spread out into nothingness and created a star. "The universe is being reborn," Lisa said, her voice vibrating like wind in calm waters. "But he needs a guardian." Kale looked around. The vastness was beginning to take shape. Nebulae growing like flowers, rivers of plasma coming together, and colors that never existed emerging from the dark. It was like watching God paint his own dream. "And who's going to take care of it?" Lisa smiled, a smile made of pure light. "You, Dad." Those words echoed within him like an ancient truth. He was the last human, and now the first something. A link between what had been and what would be. Neither man nor God, just living memory. Kyle held out his hands. From his palms, trails of golden energy emerged that curved into the void, forming constellations. Where he played, worlds were born. Where he cried, seas appeared. And when he thought about forgiveness, new forms of life flickered like distant sparks. "Every memory is a seed," Lisa said. "You destroyed the old so that the new could remember." He looked at the newborn stars. None of them carried pain. That new universe knew neither sin nor time. It was pure, innocent, like a child's first smile. "What about you?" Kale asked. "Where are you now?" Her light came closer, enveloping him like an embrace. "In all that you have created." He wanted to answer, but his heart beat one last time as a human. The flesh disappeared, replaced by light. Kale has become the living echo, a guardian made of remembrance and regret, doomed and blessed to watch over the new cosmos forever. "The creator and the error," whispered Lisa. "Only one." The galaxies lit up around them, each spinning in harmony. In the center, a star pulsated in a human rhythm, the new heart of the universe. Kale closed his eyes and his voice echoed through eternity. "Lisa reminds me to never forget." And light responded, "Calm amor, calm silencio, silencio, calm infinite." The new universe awoke in silence. Not the silence of emptiness, but the one that exists after a song, when each note still vibrates in the air, stubbornly remaining. Kale hovered above the newborn nebulae, now disembodied and boundless. It was light, thought, and time at the same time. The fragments of who he had been, the man, the father, the sinner, mingled with the fabric of creation. The heart that was already beating in his chest now beat among the stars. He watched the new galaxies spin, smooth and obedient, as if the cosmos itself breathed at his pace. From each star a color was born, and from each color a memory. In some he saw smiles he recognized. In others, pains that he preferred to forget. "Now do you understand, Dad?" Lisa's voice came from the horizon, like a sweet whisper within space. It was no longer a form. It was part of everything, the energy that held the stars, the brightness that rose in the center of each sun. "I understand." Cale replied, his voice echoing in 1,000 directions. And love. It is the only sound that God has never wanted to silence. The solar wind crossed space like a song, and Cale realized the universe was not starting over. He was remembering. Each new star brought fragments of the old one, filtered, pure memories, transformed into light. Human error was now part of the very beauty of the cosmos. He felt her presence again, Lysa, emerging through the glow. A translucent figure, made of golden light and serene eyes. She looked at him tenderly. "You saved me, Dad." Kyle smiled. "No, I just followed you to the end." Silence enveloped them, but there was no sadness. It was the kind of silence that speaks. The same one that precedes creation. The same one that the universe holds before a new dawn. The silence of God. Kyle looked into infinity and felt something different, as if there was another look, bigger than his, observing everything. Something old, patient and loving. Perhaps God himself, or perhaps just the collective consciousness of all that has existed and will exist. And for the first time, he was not afraid. "Now I understand why you slept," he thought. "Because even God needs dreams to continue creating." Lisa came over and rested her hand on his chest, or what was left of him. And in that touch, all pain ceased. There was no longer a past or a future, just the absolute present. The peace that comes when everything finally makes sense. The new cosmos was expanding. Planets were born, seas were formed, and time flowed like a golden river. In the center where it all began, a star pulsated differently. A star that sounded like the beating of a human heart. And from this heart, an eternal voice murmured in the fabric of space. Cale Draven, guardian of the echo. He closed his eyes, feeling the sound mingle with nothingness. And before disappearing completely, he whispered to his daughter, If one day someone looks at the sky and misses him, let him hear my voice among the stars." His light spread out like bright dust, and the universe, for the first time, smiled. If this story touched you, if it made you feel the weight of eternity and the power of love, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and continue traveling through stories where the human and the divine meet among the stars. There are many echoes waiting to be heard, and maybe one of them is yours.